Terrence Popp here with another episode from the Lair. And today somebody done fucked up and asked me a fucked up question that's going to probably take a while to dig into. We'll get that one towards the end. But first, somebody asked me what my opinion is of the 7.7 by 22 millimeter round for the P90. Well, that's a pretty zippy round. Goes through soft body armor pretty easily. It doesn't have much of a wound cavity. It's an in and out kind of round. It's kind of gimmicky. It's kind of like the 7.62 by 25 millimeter Tokarev round, which is a pretty good submachine gun round. I guess the 5.7 is too. Getting that ammo is pretty hard to, first of all, buying the weapon and getting the ammo are very expensive. It's not really worth it. You're going to probably see that round just disappear in the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's seen its better days. And somebody asked me about the 300 blackout round, which they were messing around with. They're looking for a round that will, basically duplicate what the 7.62 by 39 Russian round does. Now, why they have to go and recreate the wheel and spend all this goddamn money if they want to use the 7.62 by 39 millimeter round, which is the Soviet round, then just fucking build a weapons platform that uses that round. But yeah, they want the 300 blackout. I don't think they're going to go with this though. One of the main reasons they went with the blackout because they want to use the same magazines and just change out the uppers on the current stock that we have right now, which I don't know if it will save a lot of money or not. I haven't really dug into it that deeply. Let's see, the blackout, the case is 34 millimeters long, and then the 7.62 by 39, that one's 39 millimeters long. I don't know, they have it in the sonic and subsonic variants, so you can use suppressed weapons and so forth. Again, I really don't think this one's going to take off and be used in any serious capacity within the United States military. They're probably going to go with a 7 or a 6.5 or 6.8 and either try to slow it down enough so it doesn't burn out the barrels or, basically redesign the whole weapons platform. I mean, the M16 has been around since, I don't know, the end of Vietnam or late 60s. It's a workhorse. It's a very good weapon, very accurate, reliable if you keep it clean. But let's face it, the conflicts in Afghanistan have basically pointed out to the fact that the 5.56 round is really good at 250 or less. But anything more than that, you're taking your chances. And anything beyond 500 is, not good at all. Hell, if you went against a determined enemy force with a bunch of 303 infield rifles that were still in pretty good shape, and they started engaging American troops at like 600, 700 meters, which they can easily do with that round, you would have to bound up and get within 500 meters. That's 200 meters you have to run into enemy fire. It's bad news bears all day long. So, yeah, they're going to have to keep trying to figure out this nut roll here. I think they're going to probably go back to the 308 for a while until they can figure this whole thing out or make a new weapons platform. That's just me. I could be wrong because there is a lot of 5.56 stockpile out there, and that's expensive to replace also. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, let's see. Somebody also want to know if the M4 is better than the AK. Well, they're two different weapons platforms built for two different reasons. The AK-47 was intentionally built with a lot of slack inside the tolerances, so it'll still work while wet, while rusty, while full of dirt, unmaintained. I mean, that's why they give it to 8-, 9-year-old boys when they're child soldiers over in Africa, because it doesn't really require much to maintain it and take care of it. The M16A2 is a lot more accurate. You can trick it out relatively inexpensively, and it'll shoot 1 minute of angle out to 500 meters, which is not bad at all, especially for the cost of the weapon. In fact, nowadays the M16A2 M4 platform is cheaper than the AK-47. So I don't know what the hell that's about, but it's just simple economics. So whatever works and is cheaper, you get that one. All right, somebody here asked me the fucked up question of what is my opinion of the 9/11 incident in New York. Well, you done fucked up here. Okay, I can't give you my opinions, but what I can give you is questions, and a lot of these questions are unanswered and will probably cause you to form your own opinions. A lot of this information can be found on www.ae911truth.org. It's a 501c organization, and it's basically comprised of almost 2,000 engineers and architects who banded together to basically state that the official 9/11 story hasn't been fully vetted, and there are a lot of truths still floating around there that are being ignored. So let's begin. Number one, let's see. Why is there no footage of the planes hitting the Pentagon? Supposedly most defended building on the entire planet, and it's swimming with cameras and sensors, even some cameras and sensors that we don't even know about, but yet they released 5 frames from a parking garage structure of what actually happened, and they confiscated all the surveillance footage from surrounding businesses that actually covered the angles of the so-called plane's approach and striking the building. Very strange. Why was nanothermite or microthermite found all over New York, to include iron microspheres? Well, when those buildings fell, they threw that crap out everywhere, and I guess somebody decided to put it under a microscope and say, what the hell? Iron microspheres are not formed unless you melt iron or steel. And to melt iron and steel, I believe you have to get above 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Jet fuel burns, I don't know, somewhere between 1,200 and 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. Not enough to melt the steel. Maybe it weakened it. I don't know. I saw that Mythbusters, so who can say? But it is odd. I'm just saying, it is odd. And another thing that didn't really jive in my mind is when I looked at the footage, you see a lot of black smoke coming out of the building, and the black smoke is from an oxygen-starved fire. That's it. So if you don't have enough oxygen to burn it efficiently, is it going to really get super hot? I don't know. I messed around with a little bit of metallurgy and fucked around with melting iron and bronze and shit. And you got to get that shit pretty fucking hot. And to melt iron, you got to get it super fucking hot. And it takes hours. So I don't know, but that's, I'm not giving an opinion. I'm just telling you the observations I saw and what is reported in the ae911truth.org. Okay, number 3. And now, why was the cleanup done so fast and the investigation rushed? In fact, they had boatloads of this scrap metal being shipped over to China to get melted down ASAP. You would figure if there's a lot of people that got killed there, that they would want to do a thorough investigation and take a long time to make sure they covered everything. I don't know, that's just me. What can I say? Okay, the plane that hit the field, I don't know what flight number that was, but when you look at the footage, there really isn't a lot of wreckage. I've seen plane crash sites before, and I've looked at some of the films and actually seen wreckage, actual plane crash wreckage, and there's shit everywhere. There's luggage and all kinds of shit thrown to the fucking 4 winds. I find it hard to believe that all of that was smashed into the ground and turned into, I don't know, shreds and splinters. I'm not buying it, but hey, I'm not giving an opinion. These are just observations. Let's see. Why did Tower 7 fall? The fire inside was not that extensive, and it seemed to fall from an internal implosion. And it fell at the rate of an internal implosion when you look at the footage from ae911truth.org. I saw that footage too, and that is a valid question. This is an outside question, why has no other high-rise building made of steel fallen from fire? Well, they did fall from fire. There's the 2 trade towers and Tower 7. Okay then. It's kind of odd. I don't know. All right, there's another question here. How can student pilots who haven't even completed all of their training fly these aircraft with precision and make turns that experienced pilots probably couldn't do in aircraft of similar size? That's a good question. Yeah. Number 8. Unblemished passports of the terrorists were found in the wreckage in and around the World Trade Towers. Now, I want to know, how is that possible when it was almost impossible to find teeth to identify people who were in the building? Odd. Now, these are some observations. Some people are stating that the blast damage that was done to the Pentagon is inconsistent with that of an aircraft smashing into it. It looked pretty fishy to me. I don't know. That's just me, though. Why was molten steel shown pouring out of the 9/11 towers minutes before they collapsed? Yeah, that's how is that possible? 4,000 degrees, only get really to 2,000 degrees. You can probably get the metal or steel hot enough to bend it, but to turn it to molten? I don't know, that requires some kind of outside accelerant. Maybe nanothermite? We mentioned that earlier, I don't know. Okay, the 9/11 architects who basically started up the AE911truth.org have punched so many holes in the cover story of this shit that it no longer holds water or even blocks out the light. They need to keep pushing on this because sooner or later the truth's going to come out. And hopefully sooner than later. Okay, secondary explosions were reported by the New York City Fire Department prior to the buildings falling. Yeah, that's just an observation. If some of the flying planes that struck some of the stuff weren't actually planes, then what happened to all the people? Now, if this was orchestrated, we would like to know who did it and why. Because this was basically done in the broad daylight in the middle of New York, and over 2,000 people lost their lives. Now, if this was done or orchestrated, who did it, who was pulling the strings, and why? These are valid questions. Okay, now, normally, this is going off the topic here. I talked about weapons in 9/11, but, this is the Lair, and here, my evil brain takes me to evil places, so somebody just happened to ask the right question at the right time. Anyway, that's me for the night. Take it easy. Talk to you later.